I look crazy. Hello everyone, hi. Welcome back or welcome if you're new. My name is Damla and on this channel I talk about anything related to books. Today I thought it would be fun to do kind of a book review again, but do it in like a casual way while I get unready because I actually need to go to bed soon and I don't have time to record, so I was like, oh, this is kind of a fun idea. It's not that exciting, but you know. The book that I read is Milkman by Anna Burns. I actually finished it this morning. It is a psychological novel. I think it's literary fiction, and I guess you could say it's also historical because it takes place in the 70s in Northern Ireland in a time period called the Troubles. I feel like I should have researched it beforehand because I didn't, and kind of wish I maybe did. So for the current book I'm reading, which is also historical fiction, I actually am, or I actually looked into the time period that it took in. So maybe that will affect my reading experience, who knows. Also, I have to look for my hairbrush. Give me a sec. Where did I put it? Found it. So, I'm going to explain what the story is about first. It takes place in this unnamed village that some people assume to be Belfast in Ireland. I don't know Ireland too well. And again, I have not looked into this, and I probably should have, so I apologize. From what I can tell, politically, there was just a lot of unrest, to make it short. And our main character, who is 18, we actually never get to know who she is. She's just an unnamed person. By the way, most of the information is from the back of the book, so I'm trying to make sure that this synopsis is not like spoilery. You would literally find this on the back of the book. There's this girl who basically becomes stalked by this man that receives the nickname Milkman. He's not an actual milkman from what I remember. This community is very much like gossipy about literally anything. Without saying too much about it, I will probably say something later. So obviously seeing this older man approach this 18-year-old, rumors start to happen, and yeah, that's just kind of all we're getting. As for my opinions, I'm gonna try to do a section where I talk about what I think without spoiling the book, like the book too much and just not talking about the content itself. And then I'm also going to try to give you a section where I talk about specific parts from the book. It's one book. So my overall thoughts, I gave it 3 stars. I wouldn't say it's a bad book, obviously. But at the same time, I also don't know if I really thoroughly enjoyed it that much. It was interesting and it was different. Also different from what I have read personally so far. So that is also, I'm not going to say that it reflects on the author. It could also just be my exposure to different types of literature and just books in general. The writing style was very interesting. I had to get used to it, and I think that may have affected my reading experience, but at some point I kind of grew used to it, so it wasn't too bothersome for me. I wasn't that attached to the main character, and at times she kind of, especially towards the end, there would be points where I was really frustrated by her. And I mean, she was just kind of alright, I suppose. I don't know, I just wasn't that attached to the main character, but I was interested enough in the events that were happening to keep going. I'm sort of similar with the other characters that aren't really the main character. It was just meh, you know? I also want to add, I know that sounds like I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy it. Because again, it was different, and that was also, I don't know if you can maybe say refreshing, but that is, I guess, a way to put it. Oh my gosh, my eye looks so different. But yeah, it's I did enjoy that aspect of it. I think I just wasn't used to it, and so as a result, I may be talking about the cons more than the pros. As for the specifics, because I feel like the specifics are going to make it easier for me to tell you why I enjoyed this book. I did enjoy they're not really metaphors, but there's, for example, this part in the book. This is again spoilery, skip this, have a fun reading if you're thinking of reading this book. There's this part in the book where they are the main characters in French class, and they're reading a book about, I don't remember what the book is about, but they're reading a book in class, and they're talking about the colors of the sky, and at some point the whole class is like, isn't the sky just blue? Like, why do they have to go to these extensive ends? And then the teacher is like, no, it's not just blue, there are more colors. And the class is very like adamantly protesting this, even though they know that that's true, what the teacher said. Because, you know, the sky can be pink, the sky can be orange when the sun sets, things like that. The sky can look pitch black almost when it's dark out. So that was kind of the point of it, and I thought that was the way that was written is a lot more interesting than how I am making it sound. But in that sense, it was just interesting to read about. I also thought that the way that Milkman was stalking her was, I want to say interesting, but it wasn't like the outwardly being like, I'm in love with you, I'm going to be with you, I'm going to kill anyone who like dares to get near you. It was very implicit and very much like between the lines, and I liked that that was also explained, because although I can sometimes read in between the lines, it would be weird. But for example, there's a portion where Milkman is like talking to the main character, and he's like, you have a boyfriend, right? They're kind of together, not really situationship, I suppose. And he talks about how this maybe boyfriend's I think brother passed away because there was like a bomb underneath his car, and he somehow manages to turn that conversation into an implicit threat of killing him, but without saying it directly. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm not good at like reading those things in between the lines that I thought that was really interesting. However, I was also a bit frustrated with the main character at the end sometimes, because she wouldn't tell her boyfriend what was going on, and as a result, the things that were happening were just, they didn't have to happen. A lot of this would be solved if she had talked to him, in my opinion. She never even ended up telling him that she was being stalked. It just didn't happen, and that kind of frustrated me, but I guess that is just who she is, so I don't know if I can really put that on her. I also thought the ending was like, felt like an anticlimax. I was like, okay, this is it, really? Like, because Milkman gets shot and he dies, and that's kind of where that part ends. And I don't know, the ending was just kind of like, is this where I was like, what I was like reading towards? I don't know. It's not a bad book. Again, I enjoyed it to some extent. The chapters were long, but I was interested enough to keep reading it. The way that like the pages or like the words were, I can explain this. Like, oh, look at this. I prefer when like the paragraphs are separate and there's more space between paragraphs, like more white space, white lines. Does that make sense? Because that for me makes it a bit of an easier reading experience. But because the layout was like that, I was kind of struggling to push through. But all in all, it was a nice book. It was very interesting, and it tried very interesting things, and I think sometimes it succeeded, and sometimes to me it didn't speak to me as much. However, I have seen great praise of this book, so it could also just be me. I mean, it even won like the Man Booker Prize in 2018, so it could be something that I'm not seeing, because I think this is literary fiction, and I don't read literary fiction as much, so I don't want to make it sound like this is a bad book, but this is how my experience was. Maybe I will reread it in the future, who knows. Because again, I could see where people enjoyed it, didn't vibe with it as much, but it wasn't a bad book, so that's why I'm giving it 3 stars. This was pretty short, and I haven't done my skincare yet, but I've taken off my makeup. And yeah, that is my opinion on Milkman by Anna Burns. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have read this book as well, please let me know what you think of it. If you have not, maybe let me know what you think of the review, or if it's on your TBR, if you want to read it at some point, stuff like that. If you like this video, maybe also give it a like. If you want to see more videos like these, subscribe. If you think this is like a fun, more chatty way of talking about books, let me know. It's not that revolutionary, it was just a small idea I had. I'm also thinking of talking about books while like doing my makeup, but I don't know if that's interesting and if I'm able to do that actually. But you know, I can try it out. And I will see you next week, because I'm trying to be very consistent and I think I'm doing well so far. So yeah, hope you have a nice day. Take care of yourself, and bye.